Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, aka the Bod Father. I'm bringing you guys another special interview this evening. I want to thank everybody who's out in the chat room and everybody who's listening on to the internet. I have Andrea from Lacuna Coil. Andrea.
Yeah, here I am.
Awesome. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good. We're in St. Louis today, so we're playing a show tonight with Seven Dust and Cold Chamber. We are in the final part of the tour. We still have like 3 more weeks, and it's been a pretty long tour. We started in the end of January, so we're kind of looking forward to go home for a while, you know.
Oh, definitely. And you guys hail from Italy, so let's talk about the music from over there to here. Is it a lot of difference? Do you guys get a lot of support from overseas versus here? How's it work for you guys?
It's quite different because rock and metal, they're not the main style of music in Italy. And even if we are like the biggest rock metal band in Italy, it's not comparable to the level of this music here, you know, or in the UK, for example, in Europe. So Italy is definitely very good for melodic music, but not that as much for metal and rock, especially sing in English. So we are popular and we get a lot of support from our Italian friends, but it's not the genre is just not as big as it is over here.
Mm-hmm. How is the tour going so far with Cold Chamber and Seven Dust? I mean, those two bands itself is just a big powerhouse, and of course you guys too.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good combination because all the bands are a little different, but everybody has a lot of energy and power in the music as well as a lot of melody. So either the first part of the tour where it was just us and Seven Dust, or now that we also have Cold Chamber, the package is still working really well because people dig all the 3 different styles of music. You know, there's something for everybody, and it's working pretty well together, even if the styles are not exactly the same. You know.
Mm-hmm. With your guys' writing style, with you and Christina as the lead singers, how do you guys work it out with the vocals? Because I know she does a part, and plus you. How do you guys work that out?
Yeah, I mean, it took a while to make it working in the best way possible because it's not a common thing to have 2 lead vocalists, as you say. So it took us a few albums to manage to make it work really well, and I think now we have reached a really perfect balance. And when we songwrite, we never really cared about being like 50% each. You know, it's more about what's the best result for the song. You know, who's gonna fit better the part. So we have 2 very different voices, and we sing in 2 very different styles. So it's very important for us to have these differences that allowed us to write a lot of different kind of songs as well. So we have a very epic ballad, for example, as well as the super heavy groovy songs, and we can all fit in the same style because of the 2 different voices. You know, so for us, it's something that makes the band special and different than anybody else. I don't think there is one band out there that sounds exactly like Lacuna Coil. I see it as a very unique sound.
Yeah, exactly. And I have to say hats off to you guys because you guys are different. I like the style of your all's music, and you and her mesh so good together that it's just unbelievable.
I mean, we have always wanted to have a variety of sounds in our music. That's why we choose to try to work with the 2 voices when we began. So now I think we're really able to play and interact in a very balanced and in a very flowing way that it flows really well.
And plus you guys did Trip the Darkness, which that's an awesome song, and I like the video because you got good versus evil. And you guys also did an awesome cover of REM's Losing My Religion. Not many bands would took that on, but you guys did. Why did you guys want to do that one?
We always had it in mind since when we started doing covers on Karma Code. We did Enjoy the Silence from Depeche Mode, and Losing My Religion was another candidate at the time. But in the end, Losing My Religion was sounding immediately really good, just like one of our natural songs. So it was a very spontaneous choice to go for Enjoy the Silence. So we say, okay, the next time we're gonna work on a cover, maybe we're gonna try the Losing My Religion, and actually it turned out pretty well. It's quite different than the original, especially the mood is different, at least up to the chorus, which is probably the most similar part, and we have kept only the mandolin melody from the original one and then tried to play around with different atmospheres for the rest of the song. So it is a challenge, but it's also more interesting for us to cover a song like that than instead of doing another metal band cover. You know, we already have a metal sound in our music, so for us it's more interesting to experiment something different than just cover a Metallica song, for example, which is going to be great, but it's probably going to sound a lot similar to the original, you know.
Mm-hmm. You guys formed in 1996 under a different name called, and I hope I'm pronouncing this right, called Ethereal? Ethereal, thank you. How did you guys come up with Lacuna Coil, which I think is a cool name?
Yeah, in 96 we did our first demo under the name Ethereal, as you say, and we sent it out to the labels around Europe, and we got the answer for the offer from Century Media, our label. And we had a little problem because there were two other bands that were called Ethereal at the time in Europe. So to avoid all legal problems, we decided to change the name, and to don't have the same problem again, we decided to create a name by putting together an Italian word with an English word. So Lacuna, which is an Italian word and means when you have a lack of something, like an empty space or a lack of memory, for example, and coil, which is like spiral. So the meaning, in the end, if you translate it, the closest you can get with the translation is empty spiral, and that's kind of the similar meaning as ethereal, basically. That's why we chose it, and it sounded good. It was original because we created, so nobody could have the same name, so it sounded exotic and nice, so we decided to keep it.
Now, you also had a huge tour that was with Megadeth and Motorhead and Volbeat, I think, in 2012. How was that for you guys?
Yep. It was really good, not only because we were playing with some legends like Megadeth and the Motorhead, and it was a big pleasure to meet Lemmy and all the guys in the band for the first time in person and tour with them and actually hang out with them. And it was just a great way to start the touring cycle for the album, and we couldn't ask for a better chance to expose the band right with the first single and with the album coming out right in the middle of the tour. So it was a big pleasure, and we learned a lot. You know, you always learn something from the band you tour with, but those for sure has a lot to teach you. You know, those are the guys who've been around for a long time and at the highest level of professionality. So we learned a lot from those bands, and the package with Volbeat was really strong. So it was just the perfect tour. We couldn't ask for a better tour to start the cycle, and hopefully we're gonna do it again in the future.
Andrea, the first time that you heard the fans actually sing along to your all's music, how did that make you feel?
It was crazy, especially because we did our very first tour in Europe when the album wasn't released yet. We went supporting a Portuguese band called Moonspell in their promo tour for their latest album, and it was already something weird to be on a stage for the first time. We never actually played a show as Lacuna Coil before the tour, so our first show was on tour directly. We just did some practice room before. We never been on a stage before. So everything we have learned in the hard way, you know, by making the classic mistake you can do as a beginner, you know, as a rookie. And we learned everything on the road, so it was a perfect school for us. And then when we came back and started our first shows as headliners, that was a big honor. And we kind of see, finally we are doing this, you know, finally we are able to pull a crowd and to have our own people coming out to the show. So it's always mind-blowing, especially when you go to a new place, like a new territory, and you open up a new market and you see that there's people that are already interested in your music in a place that you've never been before. It's something very special and makes you feel like you are really creating a legacy for your band. You know, your music is not just for you, but it also belongs to a lot of other people.
Yeah, and the music that you guys create for the fans who love it, it's a relief for the fans. I mean, honestly, they can actually adapt to what you're talking about in your music.
Yeah, sometimes they get a deeper meaning from a song that we do. You know, sometimes they make it so personal, and the song is helping them in that special moment in their life where they need something to hang to, you know, to find strength in. And sometimes so the song actually has a deeper meaning for the fan that it's for you, you know, because maybe you wrote it and then you wrote another 12 songs, so you don't think about it too much, you know, right. While people get really attached to music in a deepest way.
Have you ever had any fan come up to say, hey, you guys helped me out through a tough time with this song and this is the reason why? Have you ever had that happen before?
Oh yeah, it happens many times, either on the live show or also on emails. On Facebook, people comment that song. Sometimes people even say that they are still alive because of the song. They found the strength to don't suicide or don't do something stupid towards the music. And that's something unbelievable. It's a power that it's beyond what we create as a band. As an artist, it's a power that it's. For me, it is in the air. It's something. The music is just out there. We just are kind of bring it to you towards our voices or our instruments. But the music is already something magic in the air for me. So they get such a deep meaning from the music that it's unbelievable. Even for us, we never thought that somebody. Sometimes you get some autistic kids that start talking because they sing the song, or some people that does something really out of the ordinary towards the music. Mm-hmm. But it's something we couldn't plan, it's something unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. How did you get started into music, and who were some of your influences?
When we started the band, we were a lot into the darker side of metal bands like Paradise Lost, Typo Negative, Tiamat, Black Sabbath. Those were the main bands we were listening back in 95, 96 when we were writing music for the demo. But we always have been very open and listened to all kind of bands from Meshuggah to Slayer, Iron Maiden, Metallica, even rock music like Bon Jovi or whatever. Back when we were kids, AC/DC, all the bands. But for sure, when we started, we really wanted to sound like our favorite band. And at that time, there were bands like Paradise Lost and Typo Negative especially.
Mm-hmm. I know that you guys have Dark Adrenaline that was put out in January of 2012. Are you guys writing anything new right now for an upcoming album, possibly?
Yeah, actually, our bass player, Marco, which is also the main songwriter in general for our music, is not on tour with us right now because he got an injury on his ligaments. Mm-hmm. So he's actually home and he's writing a lot of new material. So as soon as we will be home in the first week of May, we'll take a little break, and then we would just start songwriting with him for all the vocal parts and start demoing songs for the next album. So I believe our goal is to go record somewhere in the fall and maybe put it out, let's say, beginning of the next year. Mm-hmm. So we have new material to work on.
Cool. Can't wait for the new one to come out. You guys have a lot of great music that's out, that's for sure, and a lot of good fans too, man. Does everybody in Lacuna Coil contribute to the writing of the songs, or is it just one person? How do you guys do that?
It really depends from record to record. Usually what we like the best is to have everybody contributing to the music because it's more easy, likely to have different ideas. When it's just one guy writing, it's normal that after a while the song starts to sound more similar. So it's better for us to have everybody contributing to the songwriting process. But sometimes it's just a matter of time, and if you don't have the right inspiration, it's better to go with what we have, So if there is one guy with a lot of the ideas and the other guys are not totally focused on it, it's better to go with what we have. It's the best we have in terms of quality. That's what it gets to be on the album. So if we can have everybody contributing, it's the best, of course. But if we don't, then we work with what we have.
Okay. And when fans come to a Lacuna Coil show, what can they expect at that show from you guys?
There is a lot of energy. We're having a lot of fun playing. So we really have developed that point of our career where we really want to have a good time most of all. The main thing for us when we play is that we are having fun. Because it's important that you don't make mistakes or that you try to get the people involved. But if they don't see you enjoying what you do, and if they feel you're doing your little homework, you're just there because you have to be there because it's just another show. Mm-hmm. It's a weight, It's hard to keep the level every night, especially on a long tour. You don't feel every night you want to jam, you want to be out there. But it's important that you find that special strength that make the people realize that you're actually still enjoying what you do. If you get and you're not 100% there, the people is going to notice it and he's going to not receive. And then you maybe play well, because you have experience, you know how to handle a stage, so you can do your real homework, but it's not what we want to do. We're here, we're out of our houses for months, so we don't want to give an average show. We always want to deliver the best show possible for the conditions that we have.
With you guys being on the road for months, and especially over here in the U.S., how do you guys stay grounded with everything, man?
It's not easy. I mean, on this tour, we had for a couple of weeks, we had some of our wives coming out on the road with us from Europe. So it was cool for them to make a different experience being on the road in America, and also for us to break the routine of the touring. So it's been good, but it's never easy. It's always something that after a while you get in the mood of the touring, and you try to avoid to repeat the same things every day, even if it's not easy. So you need to try to keep it fresh, and someday you will, but someday you won't. Someday you will be bored, but that's part of the job.
Exactly. And what would you say the most memorable show that you played so far that sticks out in your mind?
One of the best was last year when we played Rock on the Range in Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, yeah.
It's a festival, and we really had a great time. The people was nuts, and there were several crowd surfing, and the police has to come and help the security because people was going so crazy, and there were so many bodies, flying in the air and reaching the stage. It was one of the wildest show we ever played, and that at the moment is the freshest remembrance I have for sure. That's the craziness. But also South America is pretty wild. We just did 2 weeks as headliners in Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay, Chile, and Mexico. And those shows are really pretty loud. The people sing every word from start to finish. So sometimes me and Christina, we couldn't hear ourselves because the people was so loud that we couldn't hear anymore. And it was great just having them sing, every single word. They've been waiting a long time for us to go there, and it was a really big pleasure to play for them.
That's insane. I couldn't imagine hearing all these people singing your music and not be able to hear yourself. It's quite an accomplishment,
But, yeah, and it's so passion, that you don't see it very common because, sometimes we get, especially in Europe or in America, you have so many shows that people kind of get used to it and they don't feel it is as special anymore, While over there, they really appreciate the fact that you go there for them. Maybe they've been waiting 10 years to see you, so they really go crazy,
And that's what it is. The fans get it. We get what you guys do for us. We just appreciate it. So thank you guys.
Oh, thank you very much. I mean, it's always a pleasure when you give something to people and they give you back, especially in terms of energy at the show, when they sing along, when they jump or scream or whatever you ask them to do. It's always a big pleasure because there is an interaction that it's beyond just, you buy my record and I make some money out of it. It's more of a legacy, which is more important than anything else.
Right. What do you think that Lacuna Coil brings to the music world right now?
I think we definitely have our own personal sound. So what we offer is something unique. You can get it or you can't get it maybe, but for sure it's a unique sound. And that's nowadays with a lot of bands that sounds very similar to each other. I think it's something to be appreciated. The fact that there is a band that you might like us a lot or a little bit or not at all, but at least you can't say that we sound like all the other bands.
I want to thank you for doing this interview with me today, Andrea. I really appreciate it. Please let Christina know that she did an awesome job. Duet she did with Dave Mustaine from Megadeth on a Tot Le Monde. Really awesome job.
Okay, I will.
And also, too, but before I let you go, how can fans reach out to you guys?
Yeah, we have, of course, we have the official website, which is lacunacoil.it, like Italy. But probably the fastest way is the Facebook nowadays. So I would say Facebook, Lacuna Coil is Facebook.com/Lacuna Coil is the band page. Then you'll find my personal page and my private and public page as Andrea Ferro. And Christina, of course, Christina Scabbia pages. Plus we got Instagram, Twitter, most of you will find us for sure on the web, is no problem. And that's the easiest and fastest way to get in touch, probably.
Awesome. Once again, thank you for doing this interview. And before I let you go, will you care to do a promo for the show?
Yeah, of course.
Just say this is Andrea Ferro from Lacuna Coil, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
BODS Mayhem Hour. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Hello, everyone. This is Andrea from Lacuna Coil, and you're listening to Bob on Mayhem Hour.
Thank you so much, man. Have a great tour. Be safe, and have a safe trip back home.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Everybody stick around. That was Andrea Ferro from Lacuna Coil, and we're going to be listening to some Lacuna Coil here very shortly. Thank you guys so much for listening out there on the internet and in the chat room. You only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour on Uber City Radio.